This presentation is based on our latest book, Garden City, Megacity. It is a provocation, a call to action manifesto, calling on all who have influence on cities, architects, city planners, developers, and mayors to rethink cities for the 20th century and beyond. When a city grows to more than 10 million people, it is termed a megacity. Just over 50 years back, we have only two megacities, New York and Tokyo. Today, we have more than 20, and most of them are in Asia. More cities in Asia, Africa, Central and South America will join the ranks as urbanization is unabated. Most of our cities are based on outdated 20th century models. This slide shows two drawings illustrated by Le Corbusier in 1930 as city proposal for Paris based on their high-rise towers placed far apart, connected and serviced by automobiles. The city of tomorrow was intended to house no more than 3 million inhabitants. Modern megacities are joyless expoliation of the Corbusian paradigm. Our megacities are horizontally extensive, lacking in distinction, rather inhumane. Developments are distinct islands marooned by vehicular traffic, people regarded second to the automobile. Buildings tend to be mono-use, making it necessary to traverse the city to get about the day. In the wake of the Industrial Revolution, the phrase Garden City was coined in 1898 by Ebenezer Howard, who perceived the possibilities offered by England's newly installed rail networks. London's workers did not reside within the metropolis, but commute from pleasant new towns in the surrounding countryside. The garden cities were intended to be self-sufficient cities, separated by parks, connected by rails, and residents living in harmony with nature. The exuberance of the 1920 New York engendered heroic yet romantic visions for future cities which sought to further monumentalize Manhattan. The Metropolis of Tomorrow, as published by Hugh Ferris, shows the city both traditional and futuristic, a humanly scaled metropolis. New York today is possibly the only sociable modern megacity. By virtue of its density, it's surely the most sustainable. Perhaps it's possible to rethink our cities and readopt the ideals of Ebenezer Howard's Garden City movement and the imagery of Hugh Ferris' The Metropolis of Tomorrow. The 21st century city must be vertical, compact, and sustainable. In our book, Garden City, Megacity, we have distilled thinking behind our built and unbuilt works and put in simple terms the strategies we think it is necessary for the 21st century city. So instead of the 20th century two-dimensional segregated city, we need to think in terms of a three-dimensional integrated city. I will show a few of our projects that are prototypes for rethinking the city and how macro architecture has evolved micro-urbanism. But before that, I would like to expound on our city strategies. Over the last 2 centuries, towns have become cities. Cities have become megacities. Megacities have merged to form super megacities. Land has been taken for granted as an infinite horizontal site for building, farming, and mining. Our practice have hypothesized strategies to layer the city, to see it as a three-dimensional megastructure and ecosystem, to limit land take, to enforce a compact and sustainable city. I will talk about a few of these layering city strategies. Multiple ground levels. Ground levels can be duplicated in the sky as secondary people-centric circulation routes and social gathering spaces. Both end. 21st century planning needs to be seen in three dimensions as organic and integrated co-location of components, systems, and spaces. High density, high amenities. Increasing densities and making cities more compact is possible only if we multiply amenities at the same rate as density. We need not sacrifice fresh air, sunlight, green or community spaces if we multiply ground levels, incorporate gardens, parks, community spaces. City within cities. Live, work, play within buildings need to replace 20th century two-dimensional zoning principles which have created downtown ghost towns. Sky villages. High-rise buildings and apartment living have replaced houses and the interconnected villages. Residents are relocated and isolated from traditional and highly sociable life. Sky Villages proposes to regenerate sociability and human interaction. Planting cities are strategies to make our concrete, steel, and glass built environment more human and livable, bringing about people and communities, bringing about flora and fauna and biodiversity back to the cities. Breathing cities strategizes, encourages buildings to breathe again, finding the appropriate technology and typology to address differences in climate and cultures. Instead of a central core with sealed spaces, be a more open approach, open spaces that could address both cold and increasingly warm weather. Rating cities are strategies to encourage sociable architecture and sustainable cities. All too often, in our daily lives, we talk about plot ratios, site coverage, efficiency index, and so on, but these do not reflect the contribution to social and environmental sustainability. We propose the following. Green plot ratio is the amount of landscape surfaces compared to development site area. Community plot ratio is the amount of community spaces allocated within a development site area. Civic generosity index is the extent to which a development encourages and facilitates public life of a city. Buildings should be judged by human characteristics. Are they friendly? Are they generous? Are they accommodating? Ecosystem contribution index is the degree to which a building supplements a city's ecosystem. This is necessary to reverse the environmental degradation caused by rapid urbanization, and we must now view buildings as homes for flora and fauna, as well as for people. Self-sufficiency index is a development's capacity to provide its own energy, food, and water. In a sustainable city, buildings must aim to produce as much energy as they consume and more. In order to compensate for high maintenance buildings, buildings in cities must consider ways to produce food on roofs and facades. Buildings must be able to harvest, reuse all water that falls on the development side. I will show a few first-century city prototypes. In this slide, you'll see we have listed our assessment tools. We use these to gauge our own performance and learn on how to improve for future projects. Park Royal in Pickering in Singapore is a mixed-use development comprising a hotel and offices. This project is about civic generosity, creating multiple ground levels, sky gardens that the city can enjoy. We have achieved about 240% green plot ratio in this building, and you can see the difference it makes to a city. Creating multiple ground levels, vertical greenery, sky parks that are vertical and horizontal that the entire city could look at and enjoy. Skyville at Dawson in Singapore is a social housing project of 960 homes. It's about creating high density and high amenities at the same time. The strategies we use here are breezeway towers, sky villages, sky parks, multiple ground levels, and domesticated megastructure. These are community living rooms that are up in the sky as common spaces to the cluster of villages. This is a social housing project in Singapore, and we have to abide by the strict budgets that were set to us. This is a mega structure, comprises 12 villages of 80 homes each, 47 stories divided vertically in 4 segments of 11 stories. There are four 400-meter-long interconnected sky parks. This is a typical village cluster plan showing the community living room and the village green. This is a picture taken from the open corridors of one of the Sky Village leading into the apartments. What is important is the visual connection between the residents as they walk home to the apartments with their fellow villagers on the village green. This distance between the village green and the furthermost floor of a Sky Village is about 25 meters, a distance that you still can recognize a person. We have replicated the ground level 4 times in the megastructure, creating 4 public sky parks. These parks you see in the slides are accessible by the public. It is not gated. Anyone can come here and use the park 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Instead of penthouses at the top of towers, on top of the towers, the roof is a fully dedicated park for the people. As this is a very bold and daring project, we wanted to know if the social engineering that we intended are being perceived by the residents. We commissioned a video interview with some of the residents.
No doubt this residential complex is quite big scale. It's like concrete jungle, but yet at the same time, it is quite small scale in the sense that the units are actually housed within certain villages. They're actually connected by all these intermediate sky gardens. It makes us want to not just stay within our homes, okay, but really to spend some time outside to just interact and bond with one another.
I think with all this being presented together, it increases the chance for interaction and also engaging the neighbor and the people around you. That's something that's lacking around in many parts of Singapore where you're just purely living in an urban jungle.
The idea of this building is trying to make it like a kampong style where you really try to meet up each other. When you're getting quite late in the night, it's actually very quiet. And the wind is good.
So we can have our dinners while enjoying the view over there. That makes it a perfect place for us to communicate and then to socialize among other neighbors.
Oasia Hotel Downtown in Singapore is our most recently completed project. It is our prototype of what the tropical skyscraper could be in the 21st century. This project comprises 3 distinct parts of the building: Sohos, which are small offices, a hotel, and a club. They are stacked vertically in 3 segments as stratas up in the building vertically. And at each level, there is a full floor plate equivalent to the site area that becomes the public amenities and facilities for each segment. We created 4 multiple ground levels, the entire site area up in the sky. Do note the green plot ratio here exceeds more than 1,000%. It helps to compensate for 10 other similar sites without green replacement. This prototype pushes the boundaries of green replacement and biodiversity in a building. With horizontal sky parks and gardens, they are inviting to flying animals. Coupled with a living facade, crawling animals and insects like squirrels and lizards can start to climb up the building like a tree to their horizontal habitats. The next video is a time-lapse video of the living facade. We anticipate that it will take another 2 to 3 years before it's fully mature. This is one building that you can, at 4 levels of the sky gardens and terraces, be able to see can see through in 4 different directions. As we didn't have a central core, the cores are the columns that are placed on the 4 corners. The last project I would like to use to illustrate our strategies of Vanke Cloud City here in Shenzhen. It is now under construction. It scores quite well in green and commodity plot ratio. Vanke Cloud City is intended to house large corporations and also small, medium-sized enterprises. We wanted to create sky hills and valleys that were contextual as creative, conducive working spaces. Here you see this tower is an office tower that's more than 50 stories. We have created sky hills with sky gardens and terraces topping the hill. And you can actually see in the section the valleys that we created to induce the effective vertical hot stack effect for areas that we chose not to air condition. Views of the sky hills with the sky terraces. And the plan, the office lobbies on the 2nd floor, and on the upper floors, we have large, big office floor plates. And on multiple new ground levels, we created valleys that have gardens that people could actually come to utilize and to have a breakout moment. And in one of the zoom-in sectional perspective of one of the sky hills, you see the valleys where we have garden spaces within the skyscraper. And what we have actually insisted on is that at every transfer level below, it's either a daycare facility or a cafe, 2 essential components to create life in the building. And here you can see looking out into the valleys and also looking down into the cafe or daycare center. And one of the sky terraces is part of the sky hills. To end the presentation, I'd like to put across the point again. The proposition is a return to thinking that existed before the advent of automobile, an apparently unlimited supply of fossil fuel, reimagining megacities as 21st century garden cities, dense, vertical, yet sociable and sustainable. Thank you.